What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a quick overview of a figure I just picked up. This is a mail-away vintage G.I. Joe that has been AFA graded, and this is the 1986 G.I. Joe Motor Viper. And the Motor Viper was originally available with as a pack-in driver for the G.I. Joe Cobra S.T.U.N, which was kind of a assault buggy type of vehicle that was kind of ridiculous looking. The driver sat up top on kind of like a exposed cockpit, and it had two front mounted seats with turrets on them that would break open and split off and be able to shoot in all directions. It was kind of a ridiculous looking vehicle, and it was featured in the cartoons as well as in the comics. I had it growing up and loved it. And this is a mail-away figure that was released later. So the AFA label will show it as a 1986, but what Hasbro did was about 2 years later, they had a lot of overstock of this figure. So they offered him as a mail-away reward by sending in the proof of purchase flag points on the back of the carded G.I. Joes that you found in stores. And so in 1988, this was available as a baggy figure. And so as you can see here, it has it's still in the baggy, original baggy that was available from Hasbro. And it has a red card back, which signifies that it was a mail-away. And the back of the card has its file card that you saw on the back of most of the G.I. Joe carded figures for sale. So let's take a closer look at him. Here he is, and again, this is the G.I. Joe Motor Viper. Again, he was originally available in 1986, but this is the 1988 pack-in. He's got a couple of dual pistols on holsters on his thighs, and he's got the traditional blue Cobra look to him with some hoses and things. This figure was very difficult to keep in good condition because, as you can see, it has a silver visor with very sharp edges towards the chin area. So this figure tended to get scratched up pretty easily. But a very cool figure nonetheless. He is a Viper. He's a Motor Viper. And as I mentioned in some of my other videos, I'm trying to collect all the different vintage Vipers that are available. There's probably 15 or 20 different Vipers carded or as pack-in drivers. And so this is one of them. Let's take a quick look at the AFA label. 1986 Hasbro G.I. Joe bagged action figure Motor Viper red back file card, and it's an 85 near mint plus. Like I said, this is really a 1988 figure, but they originally were manufactured in 1986. And then here is the file card that was packed in with it. As you can see, it's made in China, and so he's the Motor Viper Cobra S.T.U.N driver. The Motor Viper Corps attracts the type of individuals who, without the benefit of an education and ambition, might have joined the Dreadnoks. And it talks a little bit more about them, but basically they're not very well paid. They're slightly more skilled than a Cobra Trooper because they can drive really well. And they're also a little bit crazy because they're not very armored. The Cobra S.T.U.N vehicle is very lightly armored, if any armor, and they set up in a cockpit that was exposed. So they're kind of viewed by the other Cobra Troopers as kind of insane. But anyway, this is a bagged figure. G.I. Joe, AFA does not grade bagged G.I. Joe vintage figures anymore, loose or bagged. That decision came down within the last year or so. So the only G.I. Joes that are vintage that they're willing to grade are still on the card, and still mint on card figures. But they no longer grade loose or bagged action figures for whatever reason. So you're not going to be seeing any more of these being graded for a while. And why, I don't know. But you used to be able to send these in and say, hey, I want to grade this loose, and they would take it out of the bag, and it would have an uncirculated grade, and they could mount the figure right next to the file card. But they no longer do that anymore. Or you could grade it like this, which they no longer do anymore. If you grade it like this, they will take into consideration the condition of the figure, the file card, as well as the bag. So, for example, this made in China, and then the lot number, if that was worn away, they would factor that in with regard to the overall grading. But so anyway, this is a near mint example because everything is in excellent condition. If there were holes in the bag, for example, or the bag was really scratched up or cloudy, if the figure had scratches inside, if the card was bent up, all of those things would factor into an overall grade back in the old days. But now they won't even grade them anymore. So I don't know why they stopped grading them, but My guess is it probably has something to do with people replacing the rubber bands inside the figures and then sending them in for grading to try and get higher grades. And, you know, as we've talked about, these rubber bands that hold the figure together do not hold up over time, and they can and will snap at some point. Hopefully no time soon. But this is a nice figure. It fits in well with my other Vipers. I've got 3 more Vipers coming with another batch that should be arriving here shortly. It's actually the batch that I sent that I talked about in my very first video a few months ago. And if you want some really good entertainment, by the way, go back and watch that video. I sound so nervous and nerdy and quiet, and I'm not, you know, I didn't let on to the rest of you people just how insane I am, and I'm always screaming at you. So, but anyway, don't worry about that. I'll continue to stay insane for my future videos. But anyway, I just thought I'd show this guy to you. He's a pretty cool figure. I really like him a lot, and it's a nice addition to my collection. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.